making it to the quarterfinals, and then let's move on to the next match, which is BANCV versus Rain. Two of the biggest heavy hitters that we have on the European cluster. Rain is a former King of the Sea winner. BANCV as the current reigning King of the Sea. Also the current reigning King of the Sea, the one from the previous King of the Sea tournament. So basically back-to-back winner for 10 and 11. A very impressive team, right, that we're seeing here, and they're playing already here in this stage. We're going to see here a best of 3 on the maps Trap, Crash Zone Alpha, and Land of Fire. And maybe Mr. Combi can also show us the ships they banned. So that's going to be very interesting to see from these two teams. And we see it's completely different than before. Before, we had a Daring and Harugumo being banned by Surya Joik. For Rain, there is the ban of the Alexander Nevsky, and for BANCV, they actually banned out the Stalingrad, basically removing two very long range radars, which leaves basically the Moskva as the one pick if they want to go for that option. What do you think about this, Payne?
I think that the Stalingrad ban is very interesting. Like these two teams have been going at it with like the Stalingrad meta. Like Stalingrad has been the meta ship for King of the Sea for as long as I remember. You bring it, you put it there statically, and it kills things. It sits there and it stops people crossing. Otherwise, they're going to be killed. So I'm very very curious to see why they've banned this. They might have some unique and interesting plays planned that Stalingrad kind of stops. And the Nevsky ban, it's mostly because nobody wants to deal with the Doom Snail, I think. What are you, Penguin?
I think so as well. This leaves the question open. Is there a little bit more of aggressive gameplay we will see in the game? Because there is I mean, Moscow is the only ship with 12-kilometer radar because Petropavlovsk is banned as well. And I don't think a Moscow will fit into a smoke train. It's just unmaneuverable for that. Really, really easy to hit if it shows a broadside. Moscow is more of a stationary ship. So maybe we can see on the flanks, on the open waters, more of an aggressive gameplay. But I guess we have to see. There we can see the first. Yep, sorry, you can.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this map was actually picked by Rain, so Trap is going to be Rain's pick. And given the history of both of these clans, the one thing they really excel at is having like stellar map control. And once they get into a position where they want you to be in, they kind of choke you out on that. And they're not very prone to making mistakes. So I wouldn't really expect them to be super aggressive in the beginning, but removing these options with Petro, Stalingrad, Alexander Nevsky might open up the possibility to go, for example, for a stronger DD focus, right? So it's really interesting to see. And I think both teams, I mean, Rain looked very strong in the matches that I've seen from them throughout the entire tournament. And even the matches from BANCV, obviously, against Yoink, BANCV was very strong. Just Yoink had really, really good counter strategies against what BANCV had prepared. So I'm curious whether they had to now suddenly change things up, because apparently other teams figured out how to counter this, and Rain is one of the teams that can definitely do this. So I'm really interested to see what they're going to bring. Do you have like any idea what BANCV might be changing up, Payne?
I was casting with Mr. Darth Henning, Quagsire of the Pond, as he calls himself on Twitch, and he kept his mouth absolutely sealed. He wouldn't even tell me what their preferred smoke to DG was. Like, I was like, so what do you think about which? Do you want to run like a legendary Yu Yang? Do you want to run a Gearing? Do you want to run a legendary Haruguma? Wouldn't say anything. He wouldn't even react when we talked about the tactics. They've been trying to keep this lock and key. They don't want to reveal their strategies because they knew that these two would have be running into each other eventually.
Absolutely. I was actually surprised, not surprised, but it came to me as like a not expected pick, for example, from BANCV to go for double conquerors and just focus enemy battleships down, just like bam, bam, bam. It's crazy to see like when you have like two conquerors plus the rest of the team obviously focusing down at something like a Yamato, that can be a very big barbecue and burning down quite quickly. So I'm curious whether they're going to be trying to use something like this, or whether they kind of had some additional strategies already prepared and said, okay, we can show our best game already in the qualification stage. No, we actually want to do this in the best of 16 and further on. So yeah, that's going to be very, very interesting to see. Pingu, do you think we will see the teams going for B early on?
The B cap is not the easiest cap to get in the beginning, except you have a really fast destroyer like a Klebero or so pushing inside of the cap. But it depends on the other team not doing the same. Otherwise, you have the situation that both DDs sitting in the cap, not getting the cap, wasting time there. They could help on the other flanks. So maybe one of both teams will take the advantage and cap the mid cap, but I guess we will see. I think the team that won't cap the middle cap will indeed help on the other sides and will therefore be in an advantage.
Yeah,
But I guess we have to see.
Yeah, I think it was in the match of BANCV versus TTK, I think, on trap, where actually both teams were kind of rotating around the map, while Rain would be in the south and not deploying too much actually into B, actually having a Minotaur up at C to kind of delay the enemy team, and TTK going fully on the C cap and kind of rotating with a triple Kleber division and hunting down this Minotaur, which didn't work out in the end to actually win the battle. But it was an interesting move to see because the teams didn't spot each other for like 3.5 minutes. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen. This map is not called Trap by mistake, and B is usually the biggest trap that you can get into.
Oh yeah,
So,
I have solid memories of 2 BANCV battleships absolutely exploderizing some poor cruiser in the middle of B. I think it was last season.
yes, and I think that seeing here the two best teams, EU has always been very proud about their performance also in international finals, but recently with the last international clashes, we've seen the NA teams beating the EU teams pretty consistently. So I'm curious whether these teams by now have kind of tried to adopt more different strategies, take a bit of a look at how for example, how XII or other teams were able to beat them, how to incorporate this into their strategies, because we cannot forget. This is the first King of the Sea tournament where we do have ship banning for the EU stage, and that means usually teams would be very prepared early on, right? They have their strategies, they know exactly which ships they can bring, where these ships would go, but now they have to be a bit more, well, let's say, prepared or open to different strategies to be able to say, okay, this ship was banned. Let's say, for example, the Nevsky by Rain. How are we going to compensate for this? How can we react? What does that mean in terms of what they might try to bring? And if they're banned from using another ship that they might be having issues with, but you would usually bring anyway, how that actually affects their strategy. So this is an aspect that I'm sure is going to be a bit stressful for EU teams initially, but might also lead to a wider variety and set of strategies being prepared by the teams. What do you think, Payne?
I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the picks and bans go for EU. Like, NA have had all the practice with this, so when it comes to the international stages, they're going to have the initial advantage of knowing how to react to this. But I think EU now is going to have had enough time to adjust to changing their tactics on the fly to be able to prepare replacements for playing ships in specific roles. So I think you should be fine when it comes to internationals. The only problem is we aren't going to have either Rain or BANCV when we get to internationals this time, so we might. That's the most important thing. What are you, Penguin?
Maybe it's Yoink. I don't know. I'm super excited about the international finals that will come up. But
yes, and by the
match
way,
is starting.
Yes, exactly. The match is starting. So, chat, you let us know. Who are you rooting for? Are you rooting for Rain or are you rooting for BANCV? Let us know in chat. Quick guesses for who's going to win, Payne? Who do you think is going to take this?
I'm impartial. Not taking a pick.
Okay, Pingu, your pick?
I say Rain because of the setup.
Okay, I say BANCV. They are angry and they want to come back, but we'll see on the other side. Enjoy this match.
Well, I have been waiting for this match a whole week. So we have BANCV in green versus Rain in red. This could have been the finals, so I'm expecting a really good match here. So let's have a look at BANCV. They've brought double Conqueror, double Des Moines, double Moskva, Gearing, Haru, actually double Haru. And then over on the Rain side, Maltese has got the lineup there.
So for Rain, we've got a Conqueror and Republic. We got a Venezia Moskva for the cruisers, and then we got 5 destroyers, and they're all French destroyers. There's 4 Clebers and a Marceau. This is very interesting. I haven't really seen any of this before. I've seen this comp on Southeast Asia CODs this season.
Just saying, before we started, we were just chatting and I was saying, hey, this is either going to be super campy because it's two really, really experienced teams. Because if you look at the lineups, the names on both of these teams are like, it's like the who's who of EU competitive. And it was either going to be super campy because of the experience or like super action-packed because they really, really want to win. And I think it's going to be the latter with these 4 destroyers from Rain heading up in convoy up to Charlie. I'm really excited about what's going to happen up on Charlie.
Kleber Wolfpack.
Yeah, that poor Haru. If he gets spotted, Velix is going to be in some trouble, I think. So BANCV going with a much more standard deployment, I would say. So you've got Conqueror, Des Moines, Gearing, Mosfar, Haru on one side. Legendary Haru. Now, we've seen this quite a lot.
So he's smoking really early here because they're just expecting Klebers to be there and they don't want the Moskva to just get caught. Just in case, they're just smoking this up early. Plus, he has a gigantic smoke, which can lead them to the rock.
I think I worked out last weekend that it can do pretty much 2 map squares if it keeps full speed, which is crazy. It doesn't last quite as long, but in terms of smoking cruisers into positions, it's super powerful. Marceau of Rain, Eagle there, already grabbing the A cap. We've got Anlay from BANCV sitting above B cap to provide radar, and Azure in the almost mirror position on the south side.
Rain are going to get the heavy early captics here, double cap.
And that, as we saw in the last match, that actually starts to add up pretty quickly. And even if you then get your points blocked, you've still got that solid, say, 200-point lead that you can then just sit on. As soon as you get that points advantage, the ball is definitely in the other team's court. They need to do something, otherwise they lose. Okay, so we've got the quadruple Kleber division here. Deploying around the C camp. We've got Baz going up north into A10, Lulu and Gangbarang staying around the top of the cap, and then Sheep staying around the bottom. Guess they're just waiting to see if anything gets spotted by Baz. Haru of Strangers is going to try to cap B. There is that Mosfar radar sitting down there, Azure, but if the Mosfar radars, there's not a huge amount that can actually do shooting. Sheep takes a bit of a smack there. Guessing that was Conqueror.
So, the thing is, Rain don't really have a lot of ships to defend from BANCV's A push, so A is going to be BANCV's pretty quickly here. I mean, they don't have anything to stop that.
And they're also going to grab B.
They're also going to cap B, so they're going to have a 2-cap advantage here.
So that 100-point lead they currently have, or Rain currently have, is going to get eaten away pretty quickly. Strangers is radared, and Eagle is just getting the reset there.
Oh, so he doesn't actually end up getting the cap. Eagle might actually get there in time to sit behind the rock, which would contest that cap for ages, and hold the advantage to Rain.
And then Anlay will be able to radar Eagle, and then maybe Strangers can actually get some shots back. Malamu taking a little pot shot there at Strangers, nothing connecting. Malamu is kind of in an interesting position, poised to potentially reverse into the cap, I think, if necessary. But mainly looking for those juicy broadsides up on the A line, particularly Goat Wizard, who is probably just in effective range. Republic's only got 8 barrels, but sometimes those shells can connect quite nicely.
He needs to be careful here, because when you push up in Des Moines, I mean, there's 4 Klebers here.
Yep.
They
You can see them. You can see the net that they're drawing here. Like, right, look at this line. Anything that gets spotted in front of those 4 is going to regret it very, very quickly. Not only have they got the reload booster, but also they can obviously push torpedoes towards anything that pushes them. Felix just pushing torpedoes out towards the cap, hoping to catch one of them in a turn. These Clevers are being so aggressive. You've got Gangbarang and Lulu both pushing up to the island. You typically see Lulu in a cruiser. Nice to see Lulu in a destroyer today.
Yeah. So the thing is, the Moy needs to be really careful. He has to angle to these destroyers because they can still citadel him at closer ranges. Lulu actually took massive damage.
Lulu actually took quite a chunk there getting to that island. If they were planning to use Lulu for some kind of rush, I think that is probably now no longer possible.
Lex gets another smoke out for the Des Moines. Ooh, he does get citadeled by the Republic.
And now BANCV know where these Klebers are. They can start to formulate a plan for the rest of the map, which is very dangerous because both of these teams are tactically very, very clever.
Ooh, Taiship takes a massive hit from the Conqueror. He needs to be careful here. Their goal is Goat Wizard right now. But he's just in smoke and there's no way to spot him. Marceau is holding B.
Good call from Velix there to provide that smoke for Goat Wizard, but Sheep has pushed torpedoes towards that smoke screen, expecting Goat Wizard to escape. AP coming from, I think that was Malamu or Azure. Yeah, torpedoes heading towards Goat Wizard. Yeah. Trying to desperately to turn. Scratches the... Oh, no.
Because of the border. Is he spotted? Where's his blind fire?
Currently unspotted.
He's unspotted right now. If Lulu comes around the corner, though, he gets spotted because he's shooting. There's more torps coming.
There's more torps coming. Although, being stuck on the border, he might not.
He's accelerating.
Yeah, he is.
He sees them. He sees
Legendary Des Moines as well.
Ooh, okay, he's fine.
Okay. That was close.
He's at 1k HP, though. Yep. And he might leave the smoke here and get spotted by... possibly not, actually, by...
I think he'll be okay.
Gangbarang.
Yeah, you gotta be careful how you say that. So, Dastard down at the other end of the map in the Conqueror, coming under a reasonable amount of fire here from Moskva, Des Moines, and Gearing, and Conqueror. But being a Conqueror, that double fire is not going to be the end of Dastard, that's for sure. Dastard will just let those fires run and then pop the heal. Artorias running a smoke there from Venezia just to make sure that Dastard can break contact.
Yep.
Eagle has capped B, as we suggested. Strangers coming back in to contest.
I do wish we kind of knew what kind of builds people were running. So we know if they're running like legendary mods or range, reloads, anything. Goat Wizard spotted again in his Des Moines. He's down to 7k. He did heal that back up a bit, but he's gonna take heavy damage here from Lulu and Bazinga.
Surely this is the end of Goat Wizard.
He's on fire. Damage gone.
More HE incoming, more AP incoming from across the map. That's too high.
Oh, Republic
Dispersion on that one. Yeah, you can tell which one was the Republic. Shells vaguely in the same map.
Spotted by Taiship. Remember, Kleber cannot pen Des Moines anymore. It used to be able to.
There's a fire. That's a perma. Goat Wizard goes down.
Okay, well.
So far, this 4 Kleber division being pretty effective here and very, very aggressive. They will now completely control Charlie. BANCV are definitely on the back foot here for the moment. But they absolutely have an opportunity at the other end of the map to start taking a bit of control back.
Eagle needs to be careful here. He might get spotted by the Harugumo. He's a bit far away, so he's okay for now, but he does need to be careful because he's only 6k HP.
Strangers has laid a smokescreen for point so that the Conqueror can fire without triggering the smoke bloom.
The smokes are so interesting to look at on the Harugumo Legendary mod. They're gigantic.
I remember casting. Some of the first Kings of the Sea that I cast were back when you used to get the gearing Doom Snail, we used to call it. But I think this is even longer than the gearing can put out. Okay, Torps heading towards Strangers. They look like they are fine. Strangers contesting against Eagle. So that is blocking the point income.
Yep.
So effectively
6 minutes
now it's
for Rain to win.
So Rain
So-
now. So with the Destroyer heavy lineup, if you are then defending, because they are currently defending because they have the points advantage, is that dangerous? Because if you've got a lot of heavier ships pushing into you, what's the plan? Is it sort of flex away, kite away, use your mobility?
Are you saying like how this Des Moines is pushing into the Conqueror?
No, I wasn't talking about that, but yes, that is a good point.
I mean,
So,
I think it's just there's two ships down here, the Gearing and the Des Moines, trying to deal with the Conqueror and the Venezia, but I think they're just distracting them right now. I mean, Conqueror is gonna keep healing probably because it's just HE damage he's taking, so it's not really that big of a deal.
yeah, and
Just wasting their time.
I think I think Artorias and Dastard are trying, just as you say, trying to keep Kinemod and Striva busy. Like, pull them down into this corner, get them away from the rest of the battle.
On the other hand, what do we have up north? Okay, so they're
there's-
pushing the Clabears with the Harugumo and the Conqueror.
Yeah, so this
Clabears
is
are
what,
actually taking damage.
yeah, they are. This is what I was saying. Like, if you push hard with 4 destroyers like this, and then you're like, okay, we've got the territory.
He does
So
need the Torp. That's
yeah.
unfortunate for him.
Felix takes a torp there. That's going to make it a little bit more difficult for BANCV.
4
who
minutes
are
now, and there's no way to spot these Clabears anymore. Because that was the Harugumo was spotting them. Now
You can see,
they're just free reign.
and you can see immediately the
Oh.
Clevers have turned around.
So Eagle actually left B cap. This is because, well, he got radared, but even if BANCV cap B, they still don't win. They need a kill.
So this is the
Right.
same situation we had in the last match, where you've got the winning team holding only 1 cap, and the team with the 2 caps actually has to get kills, which is a very dangerous situation to be in for the team that needs to make up the points.
Yeah. Daster's actually down to 21k. I'm sure he's smoked up again. He's probably gonna get a heal back up. No, not really sure. Wish we had a timer to actually know
Yeah,
when
I
heals are
think-
coming back up.
I think this was definitely the plan for Artorias and Dastard. Like, just get
Keep
those
them
2.
busy.
Yeah, get those 2 away from the rest of the map if you can.
Oh, here we have the Clabears. They're actually opening up. This is 3 Clabears on 1 Moskva. Tai Sheep is spotting the Moskva, and then 3 Clabears are just HG spamming this Moskva, trying to set fires. And remember, Moskva can't take fire prevention anymore. It only burns for 30 seconds, but it still can get lit by 4 fires.
Absolutely, and those Clebers, although at that range it's going to be tricky, they will be trying to spread those fires around a little bit from stem to stern. Looks like Anlay has run a damage con. Yep, that's 3 fires.
That's triple fire. Doesn't seem to be DCPing, so he probably doesn't have it.
Yeah, I think
He's
that's
actually gonna go down
be
here. Definitely.
Goodbye to Anlay.
1 minute left. So
Yep.
BANCV needs kills. They have a minute to get a kill. At least 1 kill. Daster's probably the closest they could possibly get a kill on right now. Maybe Leazur, but I Leazur is really healthy.
Azir is actually sitting at the gap between the islands, and there's AP out from the Conqueror. Yep, that finds home. That's 10k. You have to be really careful. That island that Azir is sitting next to has 3 high points and 2 low points, and if you're really not careful, a battleship on the north side of the map can absolutely lob that.
See, I didn't think these... So I saw the Clabears. I was like, I didn't think they were going to be as strong as they showed them to be, Like, they actually did a lot of work.
We saw lots of French destroyer groups in clan battles recently until some of the bans kicked in. And they're super difficult to deal with because if they're being played by good players with a good caller, they'll do things like rotate through, the low health one will do the spotting, and the other 3 do the shooting, and it's super difficult to deal with. It's like basically playing whack-a-mole, where you have to try and shoot the lowest health one to try and get it down, but then it disappears and then another one pops up. It's so difficult.
Dastard does end up going down, which means that makes BANCV give them some more time, so they have 1 minute and 30 left. But still, a minute and 30 seconds to kill a ship here. Possibly Leazur, maybe? Maybe? Or one of these Clabears is possibly a kill, but all they have to do is run away. They can't even contest C-cap in a minute.
Lulu, Baz, and Eagle need to be really careful because they are the potential easy kills if they get spotted.
Thing is, they just need to walk away. They can go
Yep.
to like A10
If
and
you
they'd still win.
look at where they're going right now, they've just completely turned around. Like, go the other way. Move towards
Yeah.
the back of the map. Make them chase you.
So
And in
40
50
seconds left.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
They're definitely not going to catch them. So as you say, it's got to be maybe Azure or let's have a look at so Venezia's full health pretty much. So
Blood
that's-
Legend is trying to do something here. The issue is when he goes around this corner. I mean, if he even goes around this corner, is actually I think Malamu is the point of focus for their team.
Yeah, I mean, honestly,
he's
Blood
50
Legend
HP.
has to go around the corner because that's literally the only kill they can make. But Blood Legend is actually grounded on the corner.
They can't really make the kill though, just because he's
No.
bow in. Even if he goes around the corner, I mean, he's gonna come out broadside.
Yeah.
And I mean, Lazarus still be angled, and he'll just reverse, and it'll be
Nope.
fine.
It almost looks like they've said, okay, we've lost this one, guys. Let's just go to the next one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rain take the first game of this best of 3 series. I'm super excited to see what is going to happen next. I think we're going to be moving over to Crash Zone Alpha, which was BANCV's choice. This map being Rain's choice. So yeah, super excited to see the next one. Thanks, Malta, and I think we'll go back now to Chris and Conway.
Wow, what a surprising setup here by Rain, actually going for a 5DD setup, bringing the full French power with 4 Clébers and 1 Marceau to hunt down as a wolf pack BANCV. And surprising with this setup, I'm sure. So let's see what Painter and Pingo have to say about this. Did you expect anything like this? Like, I had a feeling of, like, you know, banning all of these radar ships might open up the opportunity to bring a more DD heavy setup, especially with French DDs these days. You can kind of utilize the advantage of the firepower, speed, and so on to zoom around the map. But I didn't expect this setup with 5 DDs. What do you say?
I wasn't expecting a clever wolf pack. No, I kind of assumed the clever wolf pack was long out of the meta and people just didn't do it. No, I was wrong. I was completely wrong. Like, with the recent commander rework, obviously there's a bit more DPM gone thrown into these destroyers and a little bit of survivability being knocked off some of the static cruisers such as your Moskva, no longer have access to fire prevention. Also with the ban of the Stalingrad, you know, I'm assuming that's just because the Stalingrad would have a little bit more hit point pool. Not sure. But the Nevsky ban was definitely so they could do this sort of shenanigans. Because if you put a Nevsky in a smoke screen, he just radars whenever he's spotted firing, and you know your Clebers are gonna be suffering for it. But yeah, were you expecting to see one of these, Penguin?
To be honest, not like that. I mean, I thought about a more aggressive gameplay of Rain or even both teams, but then so many Clébers. It was surprising. It was really surprising, but I did it pretty well on the C-cap. We have even to mention that the Marceau on the other side, because it's a super fast ship, took the advantage of its speed and captured the A-cap in the beginning, so they were ahead in terms of points, and went back to the Brower cap. But the 4 Clébers on the C-cap, it was fun to watch how they shift their HP in between each other and to see what DD is going to spot. The others are trying to deal their damage. There was one situation where they almost tried to rush the Des Moines, but it was too late, a little bit too late for the Clébers. You've seen 2 Clébers moving towards the island. The Des Moines saw that coming and turned away in time, so there was no risk of getting torped. But in the end, I don't know, it like the map name, it was a trap for the Des Moines there on the map border, and with 4 Clébers even trying to torp the Des Moines. And with cross shots of the Republic, they managed to finish the Des Moines off there.
I mean,
Yeah,
Code Wizard did everything he could to stay alive. I mean, he was hanging on there by a thread, but if you have that kind of firepower behind you, and the only thing that saves you is the border to a certain degree and the only smoke of the Harugumo, then you're in trouble. And I was very impressed by the way, I mean, you would expect it from a team like this, but it's just very interesting to see how this wolf pack interacted with each other, having like one Kleber spotting, especially after they took out the Harugumo on their side, and the rest just sitting behind an island saying like, okay, let's find a target and just rip.
It was fun to watch indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think if the Des Moines didn't run a legendary module, you would have had a lot more trouble getting out of there, because the way that the Des Moines legendary module interacts with the border, like the acceleration means he can do a lot more maneuvering. Otherwise, he would have been dead a lot earlier than that, and the points lead would have been further in their advantage. Velex getting caught out in the Haragumo, getting caught by Win in front of those Klebers, he smoked up, and then as he turned out, there was just a single clever taupe just catches him, and that completely removed any sort of spotting that they had of getting anywhere, like getting any vision on the 4 extremely low health Klebers.
Indeed.
Yeah, we also have the minimap replay ready, and I think that's going to be very great to show here. What caught me a bit by surprise, and you will see this also in this replay, that we had Schreiber and Kinemod actually chasing 2 ships at the J line, which for me is like initially, okay, maybe you want to convert them and you think you can do it, but the B cap was such a long just standoff situation where if they would have been able to just push the gearing up and provide spotting or at least torpedo power maybe towards the southern eastern part of the B cap, that might have made a difference, because at the end it wasn't actually that decisive, right? But Rain just got the better trades. They managed to level out the HP disadvantage by bringing more DDs and just got the cap control in a way that it would give them enough point advantage to at the end just be able to walk away from the caps.
Yeah, they was just so far ahead with the points. Sorry, I didn't mean to let you go.
No, it's fine. It was just like 2 battles going on there. The battle in the middle and on the sea cap, and the battle on the south, on the corner between those 4 ships. I think if the game would have been a little bit longer, like 2 minutes or so, I think actually that BANCV would have won this battle, because there was no space for the Klebers to escape. There was a corner, and they had nothing more to spend on HP. I think a little bit more time, and BANCV would have catched up there.
Exactly. Well, then let's take a look at the next map we're going to see with those 2 teams fighting it out. This is, of course, a best of 3. So if Rain manages to take the next one, which is going to be Crash Zone Alpha, then they would advance already, and the current King of the Sea would be out of the tournament. Now, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with BANCV and what kind of lineup they're going to bring, because that was a big surprise. The question is, will Rain bring a similar setup to this map? This is going to be BANCV's pick, but I think their current strategy might be adjusted, because that Harugumo strategy did not work out at all. So what do you think is going to happen here, Payne?
Well, the Harugumo strategy on this map probably would have worked. Well, we saw this the other day. Basically, what they try to do is they run a legendary module, Harugumo, smoke it up towards the island south of B cap, and just like try and position the Moscow there. But that was hard countered by Yoink, who had been their scrimmage partner. So they knew exactly how to counter that strategy. So I don't know if they'll be running that same strategy again, because we've seen how to counter it. Or are we going to be seeing some sort of mind games for a counter strategy? You know, it's just like, how do we want to balance this out? But I expect to see. Well, we still have the Nevsky band, so I'm probably expecting a heavy Des Moines Salem style push around the 1 line, around the A10 map corner. So you put your legendary module Harugumo there along with your Salem or your Des Moines and that. Because there's very little denying you from pushing now. You no longer have the Stalingrad to worry about on the corners of the maps at A, and you no longer have the Stalingrad to worry about at C. So it's all going to be down to Moskvas for their long-range crossfire from your cruisers, because you're probably going to be seeing, again, like, these 2 teams have shown a propensity of running Conqueror, which is not that scary at long range. Like, you know what I mean? Like, compared to something like an Ohio or Yamato crossfiring you, the Conqueror is slightly less scary. So pushes should be able to happen with the legendary modules, I think.
Yeah, and we also have to keep in mind, because I see here some questions in chat. So, oh no, now BANCV is going to ban the Kleber in the next match. That is actually not possible. The way the ship banning works is that there is the one global ship ban, which is the Petropavlovsk for the King of the Sea 12 iteration. And then each team gets to decide which ship they want to ban for the entire best of 3. So they cannot simply now go and say like, oh, you know what? I didn't like that the enemy suddenly brought the Klebers and I'm unhappy about this, so I'll just ban this. No, they already submitted their ban, which was the Stalingrad for BANCV, and now they have to kind of live with that decision and kind of adapt to whatever Rain is throwing in their way. And of course, also the other way around, Rain does not get to change their ban. So Pingu, if you would be BANCV, what would you try to run on Crash Zone Alpha?
Hard to tell. BANCV, to counter potential Kleber rushes, maybe a Minotaur.
Yeah, I was thinking
Could
Minotaurs.
Could be a good pick, but on the other hand, you have to be really, really careful with the Minotaur, because Klebers can penetrate with AP on the broadside Minotaur. So I think a combination of smoke and radar could be a good call.
Lulu Snail is famous for his Minotaur player. So very much looking forward to seeing Lulu running around in a Minotaur over at the Sea Cap. That's going to be the highlight of me, because you no longer have to worry about the overmatch from the Stalingrad. And if the battleships are going to be playing with probably Conquerors again, that gives a Minotaur a lot of freedom that you wouldn't normally expect to have, especially with Petropavlov. Well, Petro doesn't have the overmatch, but it still has the sneaky stealth radar. So.
By the way, guys, we opened for you on Twitch, if you want to participate in this, we opened a prediction where you can use your channel points to bet on who's going to win and basically take the channel points off the guys who are betting against you. So if you want to participate in this, it's currently running. I can tell you that right now, BANCV, despite getting kicked out of the first map, is leading with 380k channel points against Rain with 297k. So if you have channel points, it's a fun way to use this. And it still shows that a lot of people think that BANCV can easily come back from this and just adjust. I mean, this is one of the best teams of the European cluster. They've seen pretty much any composition. They're also usually very creative in creating their own. And I'm sure they have something against Klebers, but we'll have to see what it's going to be, especially on this map. So, this is going to be a wild Mr. Conway appearing.
Yes. I do also want to point... Oh, God. I need to take my headset off. I do also want to point out this is going to be the greatest ever exchange of channel points so far on this channel. So get on the action while you can, or we will think of some fun things for you to do with channel points in future, and having a big amount of them is going to help. We are currently waiting for our referees to reopen the room. Unfortunately, the referee who's hosting the training room had his PC die on him, and then we have the other issue that, of course, our organizers are also all very passionate, and part of the competitive community. So one of them is in the Rain clan, so he's not allowed to open the training room, and the other one is actually playing in the other quarterfinal. So we had to drag M. Jester out of the sunshine to go and open the training room. So we'll be with you shortly. My apologies for the delay. I hope you're having fun so far. I'm certainly enjoying it. Now that the technical issue part is done, we've done that, we've been there, don't need to do that again. I'm really looking forward to having a really good King of the Sea.
Yes, I also really enjoyed the ship banning. The ship banning for me is something that I've seen initially with the North American cluster, where this is actually coming from. And as much as I love the EU way of playing King of the Sea, because I've been following it, I've been part of the competitive scene since basically forever. And it was always just very interesting to see the very best players, what kind of strategies they can come up with. And we've been through everything, right? Depending on what was the meta in the game. But the teams were able always to kind of field the very, very best strategy with knowing exactly what you can bring, what is the map, and so on. But now it kind of shifts it away to more of the teams that are more adaptable. It's a bit more I would say clan battles, where you cannot really say, okay, we're going to be on this map, And this is exactly the setup we're going to be bringing. No, you have to kind of have several things ready and be able to quickly switch around if you need to. And for me, that makes the battles significantly more interesting. It's also the aspect why I love International, for example, because you get to see completely different metas, despite everybody playing the same game with the same framework, right? It's not like they're playing a different kind of World of Warships, for example, on the Asia server or on the NA server. But it's still going to be slightly different and surprising for some of the teams. So this kind of creates like more flexibility, and teams will be better prepared, hopefully, to deal with whatever the enemy is potentially throwing at them. But how do you like the ship banning so far, Private?
That is absolutely true. It makes the whole situation kind of more uncertain for both of the teams. So I think the thing is they have to adapt to new tactics, and I think that makes this tournament so much more interesting to watch. Because if you have to adapt to new tactics where you are not that comfortable with, you make more mistakes, and mistakes lead to situations that are fun to watch, to be honest. So I like it so far. I really like it.
I have to say, I remember the times of like the super smoke trains back with like the very early King of the Season.
Snail of Doom.
The Snail of Doom, exactly. And that can be quite boring to watch. And I love this different approach to, yes, especially very decent teams will be very careful about how they deploy. Like everything has a meaning, every motion is coordinated. But now you don't have the vision for everything, right? You don't have an aircraft carrier to spot for you. You don't know exactly what the enemy team is going to bring, and you have to kind of adjust your own gameplay. So you're not going into the match with like, this is our like battle plan that we've prepared for the last 20 matches, and we know exactly with, you know, which angle you have to be in every single position. All of these players, of course, know all of the important positions. They know exactly where to be and how to play these ships, but they might still have to make more adjustments on the fly. And I think that just then really shows which team is the very best in being that flexible and just being overall able to deal with whatever the enemy team might be throwing at you, even with the very creative setups, as we just saw with 5 destroyers. Payne, do you think that they're going to bring another DD setup, or are they going to kind of try to trap BANCV into bringing something that counters the Kleber setup and then bring something that would counter the counter?
I think it works on trap because you have much more islands to play around, so you have line of sight breaking. I don't think you can do it so well on Crash Land Alpha. The next map's Crash Land Alpha, right? Yeah. Because like the C cap is so wide, you know, the Klebers will be just getting like, you'll have the rail guns from whatever Moskva has, and they'll be able to just like nail any sort of aggressive 4DD comps. I think we'll be switching back to a generally more sane strategy and probably seeing more focus towards the outsides of the map than like DDs running around in the middle. Although we could see a couple of double DD shenanigans in the middle of B. It's a very large and open cap, and I think, but I am definitely expecting to see something. Do you consider the Minotaur to just be an enlarged destroyer? Because if you're going to consider the Minotaur to be an enlarged destroyer, I'll say, yeah, we'll be running some more DDs.
I would not consider it a large destroyer at all. I would consider it a bigger destroyer, actually.
Yeah.
Oh man,
A big,
very
big
big
destroyer.
Very big destroyer. Yes. So we, I see that we had some fun with time travel. With of course, Mr. Convoy started the prediction. The prediction with channel points. When we talked about it, is it still, and it's not going on anymore, right? So we'll just have to time it a bit better, right?
Yes.
Okay. We'll just
we have to
time it.
remember that we live in the future.
It's really weird, chat. You just have to imagine that, you know, we're talking about all of this is happening for us right now, right? But we know that for you it's going to be arriving in 5 minutes. So when
the winning lottery numbers are 12, 17, 9, 43, and 8.
That would be,
you got 5 minutes. Go.
Exactly. Here's the almanac. No, but overall, like, you know, when we say, okay, we're going to share this now, and we share it now, it's actually shared 5 minutes before we talk about it. So it's just kind of like the brain teasers that we have to work with sometimes. While the teams are still readying up, just a reminder, you can get your hands on Twitch drops. on all of the channels. Of course, we have special Twitch drops for all of the King of the Sea participating channels, where you can get every single day of the King of the Sea broadcast. You can get your hands on a separate mission. So you can get one mission today, you can get a mission, for example, tomorrow, and then next weekend on Saturday and Sunday. Just tune in on the channels. You can find that information. For example, if you go to your inventory, you can just click on the very upper right corner in your Twitch, whether you're watching it through the app or the browser, and just go into the drops menu where you can find all of the active campaigns for World of Warships, and you can see which channels are actually eligible. The regular Twitch drops are there for all of the channels, and of course, King of the Sea is going to be happening on King of the Sea broadcasting channels. Whoop, whoop.
Yes.
And
So
what was the result actually for the
so-
points?
So the total prediction result is 466,000 points for BANCV and 350,000 for Rain, which means that if Rain wins, the people are actually going to get back more channel points than they wagered.
Nice. Yeah, this is going to be very interesting, and I see that the teams are going to actually jump into the battle. So I'll get your predictions now anyway. So chat, feel free to let us know. We've seen that you're betting your channel points on BANCV, but is it also the team that you really think is going to win? Maybe just somebody had a lot of channel points, so still drop it in chat. Painter, your pick?
I'm going to give this one to BANCV just so I can see a 2-1 series. I want to see it go all the way.
Okay, Pingu?
Then I go with Rain.
Oh, so I'm torn. I think BANCV is going to make it very hard for Rain and might take this one, but it's going to be a close match. So enjoy the match. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely glorious. And heading over to StatsBlog and Maltese Night.
Welcome back to this second game of this best of 3 series between BANCV and Rain, with Rain currently 1-0 up against BANCV. BANCV's lineup in green here is Double Conqueror, Des Moines, Venezia, Double Moskva, Kleber, Shima, and Haru. And Malta has the red lineup from Rain.
On the other hand, Rain have Conquer Republic again, Des Moines, Moskva. They've got Gearing this time instead of that Marceau, but they kept their 4 Kleber, and they're actually using them again to go towards the sea cap. So
we were literally just saying, while we were waiting for the room to be ready, we were literally just saying, do we think that they're going to bring the 4 Klebers again? And we're like, no, there's no way they're going to do that again. Yep, yes they are.
They are, yeah. I really didn't expect it, because last map, I think, was their pick, since they were the main team. This one was not their pick, so maybe they just didn't know, but they went back to the Klebers again, so they clearly are comfortable with the Klebers.
I think also don't underestimate the psychology that goes on within King of the Sea as well. I think this 4 destroyer lineup, when it's not their map pick, that says, hey, look, we're confident. Even playing on your map pick with your tactics, we are still confident in playing this 4 destroyer lineup, and we are still going to beat you. So if you're...
What I'm surprised at looking at, you remember last week when we saw BANCV versus Yoink, right? Where they put the Moskva up to the middle rock. They're doing the same thing, but there's 4 Klebers this time. Like, it's a bit risky. Even if the Klebers aren't there, it's a bit risky,
It is. So what Malta is talking about is last time we saw a rush up to this middle island, and then what looked like a bit of an impromptu play to me. It was a bit of a sort of an opportunistic kind of thing. But this time, Rain are not playing into the middle, so BANCV are going to just have that point, should be able to just slip into B there and take that without too many problems, because let's have a look at the range to the Moskva. Yeah, that's like 15k, so that's going to be fine. Kleber from BANCV, Blood Legend, already down to the H line. What's that?
So I just realized Tai Sheep is actually a legendary mod Kleber.
Oh, interesting.
Look how aggressive he is on the Shema. He's not spotting. Plus, he's always the leading Kleber that's always spotting.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. That makes sense from the last game as well.
Yeah, because he was always spotting last game. I actually didn't realize it last game, but so he's legendary, which means he has a 6.3 or 6.2 detection range, so he can actually spot for his team. Look how aggressive he's playing here.
So he's the spotter, and these guys are the guns. That absolutely makes sense. Yep.
He gets spotted by the Shema, and he gets chunked down by the Venezia.
The even if you're legendary Kleber, you still get massively outspotted by Ashima.
Yeah, do have to be careful. The main downside of legendary mode Kleber is your guns are basically halved in DPM, so your reload is worse by a
So you're-
significant amount.
So basically, when you run your reload booster, it brings you up to being a normal Kleber
A
without
normal
this reload
Kleber,
booster,
yeah.
which is
Yeah.
not that impressive. Yeah.
Not ideal at all.
And then when you're not running your reload booster, you are very ineffective with your guns.
Malimu has taken heavy damage. He's down to 59k from this Venezia Conqueror.
Willis taking quite a lot of plunging fire there over that island from point in the Haru. Just able to lob that, just clipping the superstructure occasionally. Willis having to run a damage con there, I think. So 2 caps already in the hands of BANCV. Of course, it's BANCV that need to win this game in order to stay in and go through to a 1-1. If Rain win, they are through and BANCV are out. Kleber of Lulu heading towards B. Anlay in position to radar, point in position to shoot if necessary. Looks like Lulu's going to do the
Reverse in,
touch
but
and
I don't
reverse,
think
yeah.
he's legendary mode, so he needs to be careful here because the Harugumo could possibly spot him in front of the Moskva. Moskva also has radar probably available. There is Torps coming his way too, so he needs to keep that in mind.
So let's see what happens. Baiting the radar. Will BANCV take the opportunity? Nothing yet. Anlay is not in a position to fire. Point is just heading behind that island. Maybe I didn't see Anlay radar. Maybe it's on cooldown, or maybe there it goes.
Lulu actually. Oh, there's
There
a
it goes.
radar.
So Point is probably going to try and get that reset on Lulu.
He does actually probably get it in time if he hits his shot. Which does seem he does. So he does get the reset.
So that will force Lulu out, but no doubt Lulu won't go very far and will just stick around to try and get back in the cap again. Meanwhile, quite unusually, Rain have actually fled basically from A. Usually you'd see a team trying to entrench themselves in these islands just south of the A cap, but they've decided no, that's not a good plan. We're going to kite away. So you've got Gearing and Des Moines. Gearing and Bask obviously can smoke Azure if necessary. Moskva
Azure's taking
AP.
heavy damage, yeah.
Yeah, as Baz starts the smoke screen as Azure slows down, but slowing down is going to make it really easy for Anlay to land those shots for a couple of volleys. Not much that Dastard can do about this here. Yeah, Azure is
He's
really
taking
paying
heavy
for that.
damage. He's smoked up now, so he's dark, but he's taking a lot of damage. I think he's on a double fire. Oh.
Yeah, you've
triple
always got to
fire.
remember that A, there's lots of shells still in the air, and B, these players are pretty good at blind firing.
Let's go down. That's unfortunate for Rain. Lulu is, or Gang Barang is back in B. Lulu's gonna try help him a bit.
Okay, Shell's missing the Kleber. Gangbarang just forced to temporarily leave the cap. Of course, if Rain can get both of these Klebers in that cap at the same time, it is going to cap very quickly. So, currently, we've got BANCV ahead on points on 592 to 428 for Rain. Currently, BANCV win, but of course that's going to flip if Rain managed to get this B cap. And because we've got heavy presence, if you look at the minimap, you've pretty much got a north-south divide with BANCV owning the left half and Rain owning the right half, which means that pretty much everything centers around the B cap.
Klebers do actually get B cap here. Harugumo's probably gonna walk back in, but he needs to watch out for these torpedoes. Is he gonna be okay from that last one? Oh, they weren't in range.
They didn't quite point. Just saying, yeah, no, it's fine. I wasn't worried. Okay, Point's gonna reverse. Haru is obviously a very big destroyer, and it's gonna take a little while to turn around, get moving, get back in the cap. And actually being nose in a Harugumo is quite a dangerous thing to be, because
It is.
You're very big, you're very sluggish. And if you don't have much momentum on and there are torpedoes coming towards you, it's very hard to actually get out of the way.
Nothing seems to be contesting him. I think he's just gonna take it. There's no radar in range. The Clabers are out of detection. He's probably just gonna take it.
Yeah, Moskva is a good 16 or so kilometers away, so no risk there. Torps out towards that gap where Point knows that those Klebers are hanging around. So Point advantage currently with BANCV, and
With a
is
gap advantage. HP
Rain's
advantage.
move.
Yeah, Rain kind of moved their Clabers towards the north of B cap, but they can't really do anything here. They're just doing nothing right now. They need to move them around and do something else because they're just staring at this cap and not taking it. Like, they need a kill right now. Like, they have 3 minutes, or 4 minutes.
So Rain can potentially use the firepower of these 3 Klebers to do something at B, but the problem is that there's not just one ship there, there's 3 ships there.
There's 3, and the thing is, if they start farming the Moskva, the Point's just gonna smoke him up with the legendary mod smoke, so he's just gonna go dark immediately, and there's nothing to respot the Moskva inside smoke, because the Willis is too far away for sure, so...
Plus the...
I mean, yeah.
Because of the... See where Anlay is parked, you've got that little beachhead that's sticking out in front of him, so he can only really be torpedoed from the 2 o'clock position on the cap. So where those Klebers are now, and they're throwing torps across the cap, they're just not going to hit him because it's going to keep hitting that beach.
I mean, the Klebers are kind of doing nothing right now.
Yeah, it's almost
I don't know
like...
if they're setting up to do something, but right now they're doing nothing.
Yeah, it's almost
They're
like
like
Rain...
Yeah.
In voice right now, they must be talking about, okay, we got to do something. What's the plan? Let's come up with something.
I guess they're...
Okay,
Okay, so
this is the
they're
plan.
doing the Moskva.
Yeah, this is the plan. Reload boost, chunk
Malibu
and lay
shooting
down.
the Moskvas too. Yeah. Still, it's gonna take a long time though. They have 2 minutes 30 seconds to not only get the kill but contest the cap. They need to do this really quickly. And Moskva just doesn't die that quick.
Nope.
'Cause-
And Point is moving in to smoke if necessary.
Yeah.
Notice that Anlay is holding the shots, I think, to make sure that his smoke bloom is not up. So that as soon as that smoke lands... Oh, no, he does shoot. Okay. But, I mean, he's not in any danger right now anyway.
Yeah, he's fine. As long as he doesn't keep reversing, because there's a dastard there, he should be okay.
Maybe that was the plan. Try and almost trick
Reverse him.
Anlay into reversing too far.
Mm-hmm.
But to
Possibly.
get a player who has as much experience as Anlay does to do that is kind of difficult. Point is sitting kind of broadside to these torps. I don't think they have the range. No.
I think he reverses either way. I mean, Unlayton could literally just go dark here, but he's just choosing to shoot Gangbarang here. I guess to just put a lot of damage on him. But, I mean, they're at no risk of that right now.
Yeah, totally. BANCV are totally on the defensive. They have a massive points advantage here. 130 on their points clock. So they can absolutely afford here to be pretty careful. And Anlay knows there's a heal coming and the smoke is there. It's pretty safe.
1 minute left. And that's if Gangbarang might contest B, but that makes it 2 minutes either way. Like, what's gonna die in 2 minutes?
So there isn't really a move they can make with Willis, Baz, and Dastard down in the south in the spawn.
Yeah.
There isn't really a move they can make with Malamu and Sheep. So
The
it
Klebers
does...
can't really do much on B.
It does come down to these 3 Klebers, but as you say, they're not really in a position to do anything.
Yep.
Rep taking what looks like a blind shot at Anlay.
They're desperately trying to kill him, but I mean, he's just gonna sit there. He's never gonna die. Gangbarang got pushed out of the cap because of the torpedoes. Now he's gonna try contest again, make it.
Baz sneaking torpedoes up to the rear of the position where Anlay is sitting, where Blood Legend is currently. One of the Klebers has backed in. That is Gangbarang, who is now under fire, in danger of going down.
3k HP, it's very risky. I mean, they could use Eagle here to contest with 20k HP. I mean, it wouldn't matter that much, but I mean...
I think they would use the healthier
Healthier
ship.
one, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go down. And that is going to end the match in BANCV's favor.
Oh!
No, they
Moscow.
traded. Anlay went down. But that's still 20 seconds.
20 seconds, and I don't think... I mean, Eagle can possibly contest, but make it 20
Baz-
seconds and about
yeah.
5.
Baz is also getting into the cap, potentially behind that island. 9 seconds. Blood Legend will also block. But 1 tick, it doesn't matter because they've still got a cap. They
Yeah.
still win on that A cap. 3, yep.
Much more
Wow.
decisive game for BANCV, though.
And that was their map pick.
Yeah.
So that's very, very exciting because that means we go through to a 1-1 decider once again between these two amazing teams, BANCV and Reign. Like we said before, this is the who's who of World of Warships EU. And I am really, really excited to see this 1-1. So we'll while they change the maps, we'll just pass back to the studio to talk you through what you've just seen.
What a comeback here by BANCV, and showing that bringing mostly Klebers is not the only way to win a battle. That was very, very surprising to see that Reign would still stick with the same strategy, even on the TWA, or BANCV, what they call themselves these days, to actually bring it to their own pick. So let's see what Pingu and Painter have to say about this, because it was very, very well executed and looked very methodical by BANCV. What do you say, Pingu?
I think BANCV did a great job in countering the Kleber strategy there, the 4 Kleber strategy. Maybe it depends on the map as well, but I think bringing a Venezia and a Shimakaze with good concealment together with the Conqueror on the same side, which is massive HE power and SAP power against DDs, that brought Reign to a stop there, because they had no chance to outspot the Shimakaze. For myself, I think they could have changed one ship, one Kleber, to maybe a Gearing with Legendary that has almost the same concealment like a Shimakaze, and a good smoke screen for the Klebers, so they could make use of their guns, actually, because I don't know, they were not really able to use their guns there. They had no spots. They had to play really carefully. But I think that was the main issue. What do you think, Painter?
I want to talk more about the Moskva's positioning from BANCV. We saw very early on in the game, the Haragumo dropped the smoke screen down from their spawn. Oh, let me open the tactics scene. So this Moskva here gets smoked in by this Haragumo. I've got loads of ships missing, it's fine. So you position the Moskva here, you have radar control over this entirety of the B cap, and you then use the Haragumo to reverse in here. So this basically is free cap. They own this now, because anytime anything tries to spot this Moskva, you have a Haragumo defending it to smoke it up, and he can provide threats against this group of ships here. Hang on, let me switch the pinger. This group of ships here is like threatened by this Moskva's crossfire if he comes out around the corner at any point. Like we did see, while they were being pushed down here, this Moskva was this group was retreating, and I think it was the Moskva's radar who managed to catch the Des Moines in the smoke screen and just get get an early pick, and somehow they have lost all sort of map control over this side of the map, and then they have to fall back, and then they're relying on their 4 Kleber force, which is up here.
And that's what surprised me, that usually a team like Reign, they can come up with a plan how to kind of, upset this, how to actually be able to compensate for the loss of one ship, because it's one part of the team, right? It's not like the entire linchpin of the setup, but they really struggled to do so. It was really interesting to see that they were kind of like sitting around B and wondering how do we crack that nut? And they couldn't really come up with something, because the only solution they apparently found was okay, let's try to focus the Moskva down. But the Moskva is a large cruiser with a Haragumo to smoke it right next to it. So that's a really, really tricky thing to do. And this is also because there were some discussions in chat about hey, with the rule set of King of the Sea, we do not limit actually the amount of single ships that a team would bring. If you want to bring 5 Klebears or 4 Klebears, it's completely up to you. But this is exactly the kind of downside of bringing a very, very one-sided setup, is that if your plan doesn't work, you might miss the tools to be able to contest a more, let's say, general approach that the BANCV team actually took here. In terms of like, if the Klebears cannot really contest this, you lack the radar, for example, to make the Moskva be spotted, or you might be not able to actually adjust your strategy. I think the Shimmer, I don't want to be in Stranger's shoes in that Shimmer, walking that fine line, trying to keep the probably legendary mod Kleber spotted there, to kind of keep them away and not die, because you cannot run away that quickly. If the Klebears would spring their trap and the Venezia might not be able to apply the damage, then you might be in trouble. So that's like a very, very risky thing to do. Being in your Shimmer there and serving exactly that purpose, but super well executed. Very impressed by this, I have to say. And by the way, guys, we're seeing here also the replay right next to us, where you can see how the ships actually position. You can see all of these Klebears around the B cap, trying to decide, like, should we do something about the North group, or should we do something about the B cap, and not really being able to actually do something about it.
So yeah, again, like if the Des Moines hadn't been caught out on his way away from the A cap, he could have gotten into a position behind the island chain between A and B to get into a position to radar the Moskva and the Haragumo, wait for the Klebers to make a pick. But unfortunately, with him just getting caught out early on, like, they completely lost the map control over both A and B, which just meant that instead of them taking points all game, the enemy were taking points all game, and you have nothing. Like, there's so much open water you need to cross to get into the range of that kiting Shimakaze Venezia Conqueror, and if Venezia and a Conqueror are shooting at you, that's gonna hurt. Even in the clear, that's gonna hurt. Even with your improved saturation mechanics, you're going to lose half of your health in the first salvo, and then the Shimmer smokes up, and then the second salvo happens while you're trying to charge into it.
Yeah, just very well executed here. Now, the last map is going to be the random map. So as you hopefully know by now, that the first map was picked by one team, the second map was picked by the other team, and the third map, to not give any of the teams any advantage, is actually a randomly drawn map, where also the spawns are randomly distributed by a bot. Now, the last map is going to be Land of Fire. The question is, of course, who's going to take this map? Because this is the deciding match. Whoever wins this will advance to the quarterfinals. The team that loses is out for the entire tournament. So what would you expect here? Is Rain going to stick to their Kleber strategy and just kind of say, okay, we lost the last match only because we made like an individual mistake with the Des Moines, otherwise it should have worked out? Or do you think they're going to go for a different setup? Bingo.
Yet again, really hard to tell, because everything is possible on this map. I mean, we've seen games with Klebers on this map as well, from both sides of the teams. On the A cap, for example, that there is really, really fast DDs trying to cap and block the cap. There is a lot of islands on the Charlie cap on the right side, so a lot of possibilities to just rush and make use of the torpedoes, which we haven't seen yet. Surprisingly, of course, there was one situation in the beginning with a Stalingrad, but other than that, there was no rush kill with the Kleber so far. It's hard to tell. I think Rain may changes their setup, because they just saw that BANCV has a good overall tactic and a good counter with the Shimakaze Venetian Conqueror. So maybe they change now their setup to be more competitive.
I think also a Kleber setup is going to be very hard to pull off on Land of Fire. So we'll have to see. Lots of islands, lots of ways to park ships. What do you think, Payne? Any changes you would, or specific changes you would expect from Rain to make for this map?
I don't see very much in the way of running like multiple Klebers. I don't really think you can get the spotting on anything south of the Charlie cap to make it work. I expect to see it change back to a much more static style of Des Moines and Salem's, and then some sort of battleship yoling out the 10 line for control over sea. That's been the general meta that we've seen on this map over the last few years. I expect it to go back to that. but I didn't expect them to run 4 clippers on Crash Zone Alpha, so what do I know?
Yeah, we'll have
What
to
do
see.
we know?
But a Land of Fire also, like, we've seen some interesting picks even last time with King of the Sea. For example, like, it was the first time I saw, like, a Goliath actually appear towards, like, knockout stage, because you can put it into a good position if you want to just, melt something down. And there are not that many large cruisers left that teams can actually deploy. Well, the Petropavlovsk is not available. With that long-range radar, the Stalingrad is not going to be available. The Nevsky is not going to be available. So teams can play around like, okay, we can bring the Moskva, but what else can we do? So, yeah, there's going to be probably a lot of Des Moines and potentially Salems to be seen, for example, for the 10 line. This is usually where a lot of fun is happening in terms of being able to get into a good position. And as soon as you have the spotting, being able to farm. And as Mr. Conway points out to me, there is a new prediction campaign going up. So you can join and say, who will win Land of Fire? Is it going to be BANCV? Is it going to be Rain? My money for this one is going to be on BANCV. Payne, what is your pick?
I am staying impartial because I will get yelled at by one of the two teams if I don't.
Okay, so you're picking Rain, and then we have...
Yeah, then I'm going for BANCV. Thanks,
Okay,
Penta.
perfect. Cool. So, Chad, let us know, who do you think is going to win this next one? It's fantastic. I'm so happy to see that this is the third match of the series. And we'll now hand it over to the casters. Enjoy it. It's going to be great.
Here we are for this 1 point versus 1 point decider, the BANCV and Rain. BANCV starting on the north side here of Land of Fire, which was chosen by the bot. We have Conqueror Kremlin, Quadruple Des Moines, Double Daring, and Haru. And then on the other side, Maltese has the picks for Rain.
We've got double Conquer for the battleships, Des Moines Minotaur, double Moskva for the cruisers, double Daring Shima for the destroyers. So both teams took the double Daring. BANCV with the 4 Des Moines, though. What do you think?
That's A, it's a lot of radar. B, it's a lot of DPM. Improved pen angles. They're almost certainly all of them are going to be legendaries. So in terms of being able to accelerate and move quickly to do pushes and move quickly to avoid cross-map shots, which is something that this map is quite dangerous for. You can have battleships sitting on basically the other side of the map, able to drop shots over islands in all directions pretty much. So that's something these cruisers definitely have to watch out for. What the disadvantages of those Des Moines, of course, compared to, say, Moskva, which you can see on the Rain side, is that the radar is only 10k. Whereas the Moskva has 12, so they just lack a little bit of reach with those radars, so they're going to have to be very careful where they position these cruisers.
So the thing about the cross shots is, yes, I think we agreed on it for sure. This map has a lot of cross map potential, but the thing is, the battleships that they brought, Conquerors, I don't see them as good as, for example, a Montana or a Vermont for cross shots. I mean, they do better things otherwise, but for the cross shot stuff, not as good, I think, right? And the Kremlin is also...
Yes. Not exactly the accuracy king at range, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And doesn't have, amazing range either. So I'm kind of honestly surprised not to see one ranged battleship on each side, maybe something like a Yamato, in order to get those cross shots. But they've gone with Kremlins and Conquerors, so we'll see how they use those.
We've seen a lot of Conquerors this tournament, for sure.
Which is really surprising because in previous Kings of the Sea, that's been almost not picked beyond, say, the first weekend. So super interesting to watch the way that the meta evolves from King of the Sea to King of the Sea, depending on new introductions of new ships. And of course, this time we have the bans system, which has kicked in on EU for the first time.
And we have Deadeye, of course, improving Conqueror's accuracy, which is its main issue. So.
And I guess that does enable them to get fairly decent, consistent HE damage, plus the possibility, or not even the possibility, almost the certainty of getting fires. Which, if you are a Moskva who is parked against an island, that is bad news. Baz coming under a little bit of fire over on Alpha as Blood Legend radars, Stranger shoots.
Striver X finds a gap on C.
Blood Legend will get to the island in A.
He does, yeah, safely. Don't think anything can shoot him here. No, the Conqueror is way too far away. Baz is actually getting pushed off by this Harugmo and the Des Moines radar.
Yeah, he's managing to avoid those shells pretty nicely. Just getting a broken engine right at the end there. Should be out of detection. Yeah, Baz is dark. Dastard has moved over into position on the 2 line. Hoping to get shots up to where Strangers and Blood Legend are. Artorias is in position to radar that A cap if they think there will be shots from Dastard. Daring is capping B.
He is. Moskva radar does go up from Willis. I guess he was trying to see where the Daring is, because he was spotted, but Daring is out of range. So radar doesn't really catch anything.
Henning down to 78, 76 from 108 on the Kremlin.
And Leighton going for blind shots, because the Daring's not spotted right now. Does he get the reset? Oh, okay, close.
I think he would have done, but just out of time. So, Rain do get the B cap, although, of course, BANCV have 2 ships right there. They also just begin to cap the Charlie cap with Striva.
Woot is making his way down the 10 line.
So, last weekend we saw a lot of Hindenburgs being played over on this flank. Today, no. It's just the Des Moines.
Actually, Azur's actually kited away. He knows of the presence of the Des Moines, I guess. He doesn't want to push up into a crossfire.
Plus these, the corners on these islands on the 10 line are super dangerous to push around, because if you're the ship doing the pushing, you pretty much have to show a little bit of your side as you come around the corner. So super dangerous place to push.
Definitely. Shot out from Dartening towards Willis.
Eagle just slipping past those torpedoes there as he reverses back into the C cap. Willis takes that little chunk there. Torps out from Gangbarang towards Kinemod's Des Moines position. It's a combination of a normal spread and a conga line. They should have range. Kinemod running Hydra, I think, backing up. Trying to get offline of this single line of torpedoes. I think Kinemod will be mostly fine.
I just saw 2 rain radars pop up on B. We had Lulu Snail and Artorias pop up.
Oh, okay. So that can happen when the caller calls for a sudden radar, especially if it's unexpected. Players can all scramble to hit the button at the same time.
Yeah, and the issue with that is now you won't have an extra radar there.
That is definitely, when that happens, that's definitely a misplay, because it then means, yeah, as you say, you don't have that other radar later on.
Yep.
And if it's a long match, you might actually run out of radars.
That's also an issue, yeah.
Okay, point in the Conqueror down to 40 healing.
Healing though, yeah. Probably just heal back up to like around 70.
Strangers dropping HE over onto Artorias in the Moskva. It's a very green map currently. BANCV sitting on 2 caps, and then with the middle one being contested. Shots being exchanged over B. Gangbarang and RNG Sama playing this little dance here. Lulu torping the corner where RNG Sama is expected to reverse back into the cap. RNG Sama just timing that very carefully to try and block.
He does have a Hydra running, so he's okay.
Should be fine. There's 2 torps coming to the corner, but as long as he stops just before he goes past that rock, should be fine.
He might get spotted here from the other Daring. Yes, he does. Basically, this is like a Daring 1v1. The cruisers can't really help each other.
No.
So
it's a bit of a Mexican standoff. There's Torps just going past the back end of Anlay quite harmlessly there. No reason for Anlay to reverse right now. Daring's just trading shots, but I mean they're both angled, so not really able to shoot each other very effectively. RNG Summer just popping a
uses
smoke there to
radar.
break contact.
Yeah, because Leitong used radar, so he can just use the smoke without getting spotted here. Because Lulu doesn't have a radar, because he did waste it before.
Sure.
When both of the ships used radar, the Moskva and the Minotaur. I mean, Rain have to do something, right? So they're gonna have to push somewhere. I mean, they're contesting C, but Eagle
Yeah,
can't
and-
contest this forever.
Eagle is... let's have a look here. Yeah, no, Eagle is not spotted. That was just some blind fire going into the smoke, I think. So they've got to get Eagle into block C, which is being contested by Sriva. They've got to get Gangbarang into B, which is being contested by Anlay and RNG Sama. And then, have they got any hope of getting into A at all? I guess they could push Dastard up. It looks like that's what they are doing.
Yeah, I think Dastard can go in, but there's a Harugumo torping, so... Harugumo's actually torping the Shima, though. So maybe you won't have torps for this.
So obviously, with Conqueror's detection... Oh no, Dastard is actually spotted. Strange is choosing to torp towards Baz.
Wait, so Dastard must be legendary mode if he was spotted early.
Yeah. Which would make sense, like we were saying earlier. Ooh, Blood Ledge takes a Shima torp.
Takes
Those
two.
Japanese torps don't mess around.
Yeah, that was 40k from 2 torps.
Okay. So that really frees Bazinga up here to do some good spotting.
Not only that, but on the B cap, Lulu's playing really aggressively because there's no cross map threat because the Kremlin's on the 10 line. He's not even in range,
Yep.
so he's fine.
And of course, Des Moines does not have torpedoes. Minotaur does have torpedoes. RNG Summer is aft in towards the Minotaur, so those shells are probably not going to do very much. Anlay not running away, because that's also a bit risky. But trying to just tuck in around the corner there and make sure that Lulu has to do a very long run-up if he wants to do a torp run.
Ooh, dispersion goes around like on Leighton there from Dastard's shots. So Rain are actually contesting A here. They're probably going to be able to take it unless Strangers has something to say about it. He is trying to get back into there, but he's going to get outspotted by this Shima. He has a lot of HP to work with, though.
Lulu being shot at from pretty much everywhere. AP coming from across the map from Kinemod. It's Des Moines AP. It's not going to muck around.
Oh!
Down to...
Strangers? He's going to eat a torp? 2
Oh,
torps
yeah.
then.
Yep. Baz gets those lovely Shima Torps off on Strangers. So those Shima Torps have very bad detection, but Haru is very hard to maneuver.
Yeah.
And looking at that dispersion, they were all put
Battleship
into the
round.
same wedge, pretty much.
Currently,
Okay.
Rain are winning.
Yes.
Over time.
Bit of a turnaround. It looks like...
Oh!
Is Gangbarak going?
I
think...
don't... It's really risky. I mean, he's going to get... I
He
guess
can't-
he has a
can't
Minotaur to
anymore.
support him, but... Yeah, he needs to be careful here. I mean, he can single launch the Des Moines, but this is really risky. He's taking damage for free
Is he-
right now.
Even Des Moines' rear turret still has a 5-second reload.
Yeah. He has a Conqueror shooting him, a Daring consistently, like, shooting him. And he's proxy spotted by this Des Moines. He's so close that Hydro isn't even required to spot him. He's just so close.
And Lay reversing to try and keep him in procs. And there's actually a Hydra going as well. So, no longer in danger from Anlay, but still being shelled by RNG Sama. Yeah, I'm not sure what the plan was there. I think maybe Gangbarang was looking at doing a rush on Anlay, but decided at the last second that, hey, that's not a good idea.
Yeah, maybe they didn't think they were going to win off of points, but...
Yeah, then suddenly, hey, look, we're going to win. Don't die.
Yeah. Bazinga actually launches torps here at Anlay, so if Anlay actually moves forward, maybe he doesn't see the torps, he could possibly eat some.
Yeah, so we've got one spread overlapping and then the other two side by side. Anlay is reversing. Obviously, you know, the chances of whichever of these torpedoes is aiming for the corner actually being on target is a bit random. There's these two in the middle that are just overlapping.
He's
Look
actually
like-
accelerating here, but will he accelerate enough? I think Lulu here is trying to, like, make him push forward into the torps, maybe?
Yeah. And I think Anlay's going to be like, why? Okay. Are you trying to push me forwards? These players are not stupid. There we go.
Yeah, so
Torpedoes avoided. Yeah, now the torps are gone.
but that pushes him into Dastard's HE
Yes.
here. He's not this spot. He's in a really risky
Yeah.
spot for sure. There's ships everywhere.
Whenever we see cruisers push into that spot, particularly the north side, they are definitely at risk. So Anley will be able to get a little bit of damage here on Dastard before he fires again. But surely this next volley from Dastard is going to take Anley down. There's also some action going around on the other side. You can see Des Moines against Moskva, but I want to watch Anley here for a second. Yep, Anley goes down.
Kinemod's actually down to 12k here.
Yes.
He's getting shelled by Eagle and Lulu.
He's trying to get around on Willis. That end of that island is very, very flat. He might actually be able to get shells over it. Into the broadside of the Moskva. Nope, the rocks block it. Can he find a route through with the shells?
Thing is, this Moskva is on a 1v1 against the Des Moines. Okay, yeah. Lazar's back in it. He's gonna help him out. And Swoot.
Nope, I don't think Kinemod can find a route through for those shells. And the closer you get, the worse the problem becomes.
I mean, Rain have a lot of ships.
Woot is going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, 4 versus 6. No, 4 versus 8.
Yeah, so we've gone from a mostly green map to a mostly red map here in favor of Rain. Kinemod coming under fire from Willis. Willis may go down.
He might actually kill Willis here.
Kinemod volley.
The issue is Lazur is still much healthier than him, so...
Shriver in the middle of the map there. You can see in the background taking massive damage from Lulu and goes down as well. So Rain only have 3 ships left to kill. Kinemod goes down to Azure.
RNG Sama is caught in front of a Conquer. Oh, yeah, he's...
Wow, they're
this game is over.
Falling like cards now. 9:30 on the points, 50 seconds left to go. There is pretty much nothing that Point can do here to save it for BANCV. And of course, if Rain do go through to win this, they are through to the quarterfinals later today. And BANCV will be saying goodbye.
Yes, because EU does not have double elimination.
No,
so
this is straight up eliminations today.
Mm-hmm.
If you watch NA later today, I think Maltese was telling me earlier that they are actually running double eliminations over on NA for the for this round, for the round of 16.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you will be seeing people getting a second chance, just like we had last weekend on EU. But today, yep, this is just straight up eliminations. So when BANCV lose this in the next tick, yep, that's going to be Rain going through 2-1 against BANCV to go through to the quarterfinals, which we will be... I don't think we're casting that later today, but you can definitely watch that match on other channels if you would like to. And with that, I think we'll go back to the studio for a bit of analysis.
Wow, that was a very interesting final match here, and it actually swung back and forth. And did we promise you too much when it comes to watching TWA, or BANCV as they call themselves now, duke it out with Rain? Wow, well done and congratulations to Rain. They now advance to the quarterfinals, and TWA is now out for this tournament. The actual reigning King of the Seas have been dethroned. They gave their best, but it was not enough today. So let's go through this match step by step. Painter, what do you think?
Right. First of all, thank you for making it. Like right at the start of the game, you said I was backing Rain, and obviously I was right about backing Rain. Clearly, that was, you know. But also the Des Moines holding pattern that we have. If we can take a look at the tactics scene at all, but basically what happened was they sent a destroyer and a Des Moines up to each of the 3 caps, and they got the Des Moines lodged very firmly in a radar control position over the caps. And they just, at the start of the match, they were ticking all 3 caps. So you have this position here, like this Des Moines got smoked up to here. This Des Moines just sailed straight down here, gets up to there with his back up there. And this Des Moines in this position here. So you have full radar coverage over all 3 with a destroyer to back you up. But then things started to fall apart. Penguin, how did this start to fall apart?
It was a little bit surprising because we both thought BANCV has a great formed a great front line, has a great positioning and control over all 3 caps. And then something happened, and that something is a Shimakaze that went to the one line up and torped the Des Moines, sent some torpedoes, and luckily I think a lot of them hit the Des Moines and killed the radar cruiser inside of the cap, which is, I don't know how it worked, how it happened. I haven't seen it, only after it happened, but that was the initial step there, and the next step followed pretty fast. It was a super narrow 3 torp launcher drop on the Harugumo. The Harugumo sailed right into those torpedoes, had absolutely no chance of avoiding them because there was no space, and therefore the DD just got killed as well, and 2 ships were left on the side, and that opened the door for the Conqueror to just move in, and so everything fall apart for BANCV.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
so
was-
basically. I'm sorry, you go.
No, it's just it was interesting for me to see because BANCV basically established very early map control in terms of the caps. Having all 3 caps ticking against Rain and paying a bit in HP pool, there was definitely an advantage of like 60-70k HP in favor of Rain, but they did get the caps. But then they really struggled to hold on to them, not only in C, but then, for example, also in B, putting pressure on IKEA and Leitung, trying to hold it there, but just very, very narrowly surviving there on the north part of the island next to B, and just trying to kind of keep them out. And it just was very impressive to see how Rain slowly but steadily clawed their way back into the match, but not just on one cap, but on several front lines at the same time. So that was very impressive to see for me. What about you, Payne?
It was all on Baz. Bazinga Flux in this Shimakaze just reverses up slightly. Strangers in his Harugumo is forced back because of the 600 kilometer spotting advantage, and then this Conqueror here. And this gets this free top line on the Blood Legend, and just, it was disgusting. And then, like, Strangers instantly is like, oh no, we've lost our Des Moines, we need to fall back, we need to hold further back. Eats 3 more torpedoes, this is gone, you have full control of this side of the map, and you just collapse in. The highlight of the match was, for me though, I did get to see Darth Henning ram somebody on the 10 line. That's all you ever want to see. BANCV, they finished what they set out to do. They set out to have Darth Henning ram someone in King of the Sea. We saw it. Well played to them.
Well, if you can do this, why would you want to advance, right? No, but
Yeah.
overall, like really, really well played by Bahrain, and congratulations for advancing to the next stage, which means that now we will be now moving on to the quarterfinals and to the next set of matches while we're watching here this amazing
Scorably
replay.
is the wrong way around, by the way.
That is
right,
true,
of
Mr. Conway.
course.
Mr. Conway, I think, has like a slight inner bias for BANCV, just wanting
No, we have-
them to win. It's like,
we have to
sorry,
see-
Rain. Sorry, Rain. I'll throw Mr. Conway under the bus here until he fixes it.
So here we
Which
see
will,
the full
you know
map
what?
control.
Because this is very interesting. We actually ran the channel point prediction. Very, very good, Mr. Conway. Easy way to fix it. Just adjusting it with the next match we're going to be casting. No, but actually, in terms of channel points, when we asked the chat to kind of bet on who's going to
Oh my
win,
gosh.
we saw that most people actually backed BANCV with like twice the amount of channel points. I think we had like 1 million channel points, Mr. Conway, if you have it in front of you.
Yes, I think it was about a 2-1 favorite. And 1 million channel points. So everyone who voted for Rain to take it,
Yeah, I'm sure that now,
Congratulations.
because we do have some organizers and adjudicators actually from Rain, they're going to have a very, very stern warning from Mr. Conway for giving the point to BANCV clearly. No, I think Mr. Conway was just used to, for the last 2 King of the Seas, he just always had to put BANCV as the winner down until the very end of the tournament, and then he just decided it's going to be the same way this time. No.